Hello lovely people, welcome to the Geek Cupboard, I'm Penge, and welcome to day 17 of the Geek Cupboard's Fes-tea-ve Advent Countdown 2021, and it's not that difficult to find little tea pocket number 17, because it's right there in front of us, on the very first kind of panel bit of our calendar. Okay, now here we go, so let's get this out. Now looking at that, so we had relaxed tea yesterday, didn't we? And that had chamomile in. Are they trying to calm us down for something on the Pukka calendar? Is something coming up that we should be aware of that we need to be remarkably calm for? Because today's tea is chamomile, vanilla, and manuka honey. And that does sound very, very nice indeed. I like all those things. I think this is going to be very nice indeed. So it says, a blissful dip in a pool of calm. They have some very good kind of descriptions here. Whoever's writing those is very good. They've got some very good descriptions going on. Okay, I kind of realise I sometimes forget to read behind here. So what does it say? It says, dusky vanilla infused chamomile, sweet manuka to bring a smile. Oh, that's nice. I mean, yeah, manuka honey, I think, is the fancy. It's like really expensive. If you want to buy a pot of it, I think it's quite costly. I think it's like really fancy. I don't know quite why. Isn't that the one you can... like, people put it on, like, injuries to kind of heal them and such like. It's good, it's like antiseptic or something. I don't know, I might be making that up. Whatever the case, I think we all know what we have to do. Now, we have to go to the kettle. And here we are with our lovely freshly brewed cup of chamomile, vanilla and manuka honey tea. And to look at it, it does look very similar to yesterday's tea, doesn't it? I mean, it's a green tea, that is fairly obvious to see, but again, it's a weaker looking green tea. It's not sort of a great big strong looking green tea. The colours of the green tea are not sort of dark, they're kind of, sort of subtle and quite light looking. So, okay, so it's kind of, light looking, nice, gentle green tea, shall we say. I mean, to smell it, I can't smell anything from here while it's down here. If I give it a proper smell... okay, yeah, I can smell a bit of chamomile and possibly... is that a bit of a honey smell as well? I might be able to smell a bit of honey. Couldn't smell any vanilla. I thought that might be quite sort of strong, because vanilla is quite a strong sort of thing, isn't it? If you put vanilla in something, often it can be quite strong smelling and tasting and such. But okay, right, let's give it a taste, shall we? Let's see what it tastes like. Okay, there we go. Right, yeah, I can taste vanilla now. When we taste it, there's a definite vanilla taste. Okay, so there is chamomile. There's chamomile in there. But I would say vanilla is probably a bit the more sort of dominant, the more dominant flavour, if you like. I can't really taste... hang on. Let's go back in for another taste. I can't say I can taste the honey. I mean, I suppose maybe it's a tiny bit sweet, which might be down to the honey. I don't know. I can't really taste any kind of strong honey, any sort of strong honey flavours. There's chamomile and vanilla, definitely. So vanilla is the stronger of the flavours. Chamomile is in there, because that's kind of what type of tea it is. Yeah, I can't really pick up any kind of honey taste in there. Okay, we'll just assume it's in there. Maybe it's just responsible for a bit of the more sort of fragrant smell. I can't really taste any honey in that. But okay, do you know what? It's nice. It's a very nice tea. It's not overly dissimilar to yesterday's tea, which was Relax, was it called? It's not that dissimilar at all. It's quite similar indeed. I mean, yeah, this has got a bit more vanilla sort of a flavour in it. I would prefer this one, I think. If I had to choose between yesterday's Relax tea and this one, I'd pick this one. Just because it's got a bit of something else going on. It's got a bit of sort of vanilla going on. And that's quite nice. It's quite nice. You know what? It's okay. It's another lovely, calm, relaxing tea. So here we go. Let's have this. And very sort of calmly, in a nice, relaxed way, let's answer today's question, shall we? So, today's question comes from Red Fusion, who asks, how much work is it, all in all, to make one, usually hour-long video per day each day since a long time? And is it worth it? Okay, so... basically, sort of how much effort is it, I guess, to make one video? Now, I would break this down to stages. I would break it down into different stages because, the different stages take different lengths of time. So if I'm playing a new game, if I'm playing something that I've never played before, so, if we're doing a one-off or whatever, then normally I would take a quick look at it. I'll pop into the game and I'll see if it's complicated or if it has a tutorial that we need to do or whatever. Now, I know that we're very good at bumbling around in games in the Geek Cupboard. That's, that's kind of part of the thing, isn't it? We mess around and things go wrong and we kind of deal with it. And sometimes we don't know what to do and don't know what button to press or whatever. And that's fine. That's fine. But sometimes games are a tad more complex to understand. And if you go in if you go in blind, as it were, if you go in without having played it before, then yeah, it won't make for a very good video. I mean, some games are fine with that. Some games are okay. You don't have to do the tutorial and such. Like, you can just sort of get on with it. But some games you do have to go in and sort of investigate a bit. Otherwise, yeah, there'll be a series of you then going, but what do I do now? I don't know. Hang on, let me click around a lot. And then you'll click around a lot and nothing will happen. Then you'll get lost. And then it's just, yeah, it doesn't make for a good video. So sometimes you do have to go in and just see if you need to do a little bit of a sort of test run and such like. And I think maybe, I mean, it depends on the game, I suppose, but maybe that takes about half an hour, let's say. Sometimes it's significantly less. If you go in and go, oh, right, yep, I get it. I'm with you on this. That's fine. Then, yeah, you can sort of, get on with it a little bit quicker. But sometimes there might be a tutorial you have to go through, and maybe some games you have to complete the tutorial to get into the main game, so you might have to go and do that. So yeah, I'd say between 10 minutes and half an hour. Then of course we have the recording bit itself. So I mean, yeah, if the video is an hour long, then I will be recording for an hour because that's how time works. But often it is a bit longer than that. So I do a bit at the start to sync up the video to the audio. So I record the screen in one bit of software and the audio is in another bit of software. So I use OBS for the video and I use Audacity for the audio. And there's a little bit that I have to do at the start to sort of synchronize things together because the video is recording, but I don't know at what point I'm speaking. So I have to kind of go, right, I'm going to click on a button now, and I'm going to click on another button now, and another button now. And then I can then synchronize up when I'm clicking on the button on the screen in the editing software. I can synchronize that together to make sure that I'm speaking at the right point in the video. So I have to do that. That doesn't take that long. But I mean, there's errors. There are many errors, inevitable errors that just I go wrong quite a lot, which is why editing is a wonderful, wonderful thing, because we can just chop out all the really awful bits. I mean, often it's at the start. I sometimes just can't speak. I just can't speak sometimes, and I just go, "Hello, lovely people," and I just fail to speak. Just fail to speak at all. But I mean, yeah, there are errors. Or sometimes I'll just, I'll sort of record something. I think, do you know what, that was, I'll be sort of, I don't know, speaking a little bit and go, that was pointless. There was no point in that being there. So then I'll make a little note in the thing. I'll, finish what I'm doing. I go, I don't know, I'll say something. And there we go. We'll send that person away to do that. And there'll be a little gap. And I'll go, actually, no, scrap that. Cut that bit out because that was completely pointless. That was just boring nonsense that nobody's interested in. So, I'll make little notes and stuff. So such like, yes, things do get cut out. Things do get cut out of the end, sort of at the end video as well, because sometimes they're a bit pointless. And things go wrong, and sometimes things don't go to plan and such like. So there's quite a bit of editing. So if the video is an hour long, it probably is a bit longer than an hour to record because of the sort of preamble stuff at the start, and then sort of inevitable mistakes and bits that we don't need anymore and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, I'd say it's hard to say. Between an hour and an hour and a half, possibly, for the whole sort of recording thing. If I'm doing a normal video, I mean, relatively recently, some of the videos are creeping back up toward an hour. Some of them are a bit longer. But maybe sort of November time, they were a bit quicker because I was doing shorter videos because of time issues and such. But so I'd say between an hour and an hour and a half. And then, of course, we have to edit the video. So you have to sort of stitch it all together and cut out all the rubbish bits. That maybe takes between 20 to 40 minutes, depending on the length of the recording, and then how many sort of bits, the sort of segments there are. Because sometimes if I'm able to do stuff in one great big, I always like to think of it as a stream of consciousness. Sometimes it's just me. I'll say, hello, lovely people, and then the video will end. Like, I don't know, 50 minutes later, and there won't be any breaks in the middle. I would have spoken for 50 minutes solid, and then I just, I go, right, okay, chop at the start, chop at the end, go. That's it. So that's quite easy editing. But sometimes, for example, just thinking something like City of Gangsters has quite a lot of points where it stops. Because I'll go, okay, right, let's go and pick up that resource. And there'll be a stop. So I have to kind of then edit out the gap between when I said that and then when I next start speaking. And there are quite a lot of those in some games. So it depends. It depends on the length of recording. And then, of course, whether there's some creative editing required to make things a bit shorter. Because sometimes, I'll edit something and go, right, this video is 1 hour, 25 minutes long. That's too long. Right, what can we cut out? So then I'll go through again and try and go, right, we don't need that bit. Don't need that bit. Or we can cut that bit out and get it down. Maybe cut off 10, 15, 20 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever. Who knows? Of course, the video has to make sense. So you have to kind of make sure that it's still coherent all the way through. But yeah, so editing, I would say, takes between 20 and 40 minutes, depending on various things. Then there's the rendering. So you edit the video. I mean, some people might know about this, but some might not. So you edit your video, so it's there going, right, okay, this is what you want to produce. And then you have to render that. So the software then stitches everything together and then creates the final sort of file. So it merges the audio and the video together and then, cuts out all the gaps and such like for you. So then you get your end result. That takes about an hour, possibly more, possibly less, depending on the length of the video and all that kind of stuff. It takes about an hour. And then you have to do the thumbnail, which takes sort of 5 to 10 minutes possibly. It's a lot easier if it's already in a series. If you're doing part 10 of a series, then you've got the thumbnail sort of done because you just template the previous one. Just use part 9 and 8 and 7 as a template, and that's what normally happens. Just normally take that as a template and then change the picture, but the logo stays in the same place and that kind of stuff. So that makes it a bit easier. If it's like a one-off or something, or it's a new series, then yeah, it takes a bit longer to get a decent looking thumbnail. And then you have to do the upload. So you have to do the upload it to YouTube, and then you have to do what I like to call it, I just call it do the words. So you have to do the words. So you put the title in and the description, and you set your tags, which are probably not important anymore on YouTube, allegedly, but I still put them in. And then you set your end screen up and all that kind of stuff. That can take maybe 10 minutes or so, possibly. I mean, maybe a bit less, maybe a bit more, depending on what's going on. But yeah, I'd say around 10 minutes. So for a new game, if we're playing something new, so either the first part in a new series or we're doing a one-off, I would say it's probably sort of 2.5 to 3 hours of effort without rendering. I don't count that because when it's rendering, I just go and do something else. I go away and do something else for a bit because the computer, because I haven't got sort of super fancy editing software, I don't think it uses the graphics card to do the rendering. So it uses the processor and obviously the memory on the computer. So yeah, it sort of slows things down if you start using your computer to do other bits and bobs whilst it's rendering. And it's a little bit kind of slow. So I just leave the computer alone while it's rendering. I just clear off and do something else for a bit. Or I might, I'll go and tidy up, or I don't know, go and sort the kitchen out or whatever. I'll go and do something else for a bit and come back when it's done. So I'm not counting rendering because I'm not doing anything then. I'm going away and doing something else. And I often do try and time it. So so the computer is rendering while I go and do something else. So if I have to go and, I don't know, do the school run or something, I will try and sort of make sure that the computer is rendering while I'm out and about. If I've got to go to the shop or if I've got to the kids' bedtime or whatever, I'll sort of go, right, okay, bedtime's on the way. Right, okay, you start rendering and then I'll do the kids' bedtime. And then by the time I finish doing bedtime and they're in bed, I can come back, hopefully it's finished rendering, and then we can do the uploady bit and do the words and such like. So yeah, for a new game, probably, 2.5 to 3 hours. For a game that's in a series, so we're relatively comfortable with it. We know what we're doing with it. We don't have to go and do tutorials and stuff. It's probably a bit closer to 2 hours. Again, not counting rendering and such like. I mean, sometimes it's a bit less if the video's shorter and whatever, but sort of that's a vague, sort of an approximate time for such things. So that is sort of the answer to part one of the questions. How much work is it all in all? And then the other bit said, is it worth it? Yes, absolutely. 100% it's worth it. There's a lot of effort that goes in, as we just looked at, but I really, really enjoy it. I really think it's wonderful. The recording and the speaking nonsense and the editing. I quite like the editing bit. That's quite a fun technical challenge to make sure it all sort of fits in properly. And then, of course, there are the important people, which are all you lovely people out there who actually make the difference. Because if it wasn't for you all, I've said this before, but if it wasn't for you all out there, then I would just be a bloke shouting at himself in a very, very small room. And that just wouldn't do at all. But you lovely people out there, you watch the videos and you like them and you dislike them and you leave comments and you leave Twitter messages and you chat away on the Geek Cupboard Discord, and it's wonderful to see. It's really, really wonderful to see. And that makes it worth it. Absolutely. No questions asked. Yes, it is absolutely worth it. Because it's brilliant. I love doing it. And as I've said before, I think was it day one I said this, of the Fes-tea-ve Advent Countdown? If I can make just one person out there smile or laugh or brighten their day in the teeniest, tiniest bit, then that's kind of job done. That's job done. Knowing that some Geek Cupboard nonsense has made a difference to someone else, somewhere out there in the world, wherever they might be. And that also makes all this entirely worthwhile, because do you know what? That's a good thing to do, isn't it? If we can't help each other and be nice to each other, then what can we do? So there we go. So yes, absolutely. It is worth it. Takes a while, But I mean, yeah, I love doing it and it's brilliant. And hopefully we can keep doing this for a good while longer anyway. So there we go. There we go. Hopefully that has answered the question. I mean, yeah, maybe that was, I don't know, is that enough detail? I think possibly it might be too much detail, but there we go. There we go. So I'm going to go and finish my very relaxing tea again and wonder what the Pukka people know is coming for us. Why do we need to be so relaxed 2 days in a row? What is going to happen tomorrow? What awaits us on the 18th? I do not know, but you know what? We'll find out, I suppose. But yeah, I'll go and drink this tea and be all relaxed and such like before then. So yes, I think we will wrap things up for the moment. So for now, thank you very much for joining me for day 17 of the Fes-tea-ve Advent Countdown 2021, and I will see you next time.
How are we doing? You've just circumvented the queue. You, sir, are a cheat. Oh my goodness me, there's 12 million people that just come in from an airplane. Are you a skeleton? Are you just Skeletor? Is that all it is? You, madam. You are a pain. You are a scourge upon this earth. People are urinating on the floor.